creative. What? That doesn't make any sense. How do you keep coming up with new ideas? I try not to think too much. That can be really dangerous when it comes to ideation. Instead, I just act. Just turn the camera on, start capturing something, and then everything gels. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with the way life is going? Noah, I can tell you without hesitation, a 10. I'm healthy, Francine is healthy, Owen's healthy, everybody's happy, Candace is doing well, I'm happy with my job, it's sunny outside, what more could you want? If you want to ask how happy I am with the way the world is going, I have concerns. How do you keep your feelings separate from your decision making? You know, that is a tough question. The decisions I make are almost always very objective. Candace is pure emotion. So the two of us, it's very Apollo and Dionysus. What was your question? All right, I'm gonna end it with this kid.
Hey Casey, my question is, what would you say to the kids that are in middle school and high school just like me?
Couple of things. First, that there's no permanent record. And when your teachers or your principals say this is going on your permanent record, they're full of shit. There's no such thing as a permanent record. The second thing I would say is don't hesitate, don't shy away from challenging authority. I'm not saying be a jerk or be obstinate just to be obstinate, but when I was in middle school, I remember fundamentally disagreeing with a lot of my teachers and my guidance counselors, and the feedback I got from like my parents and from everybody around me was like, you do as you're told, boy. But now as an adult, I know that like, you don't have to do as you're told. If you truly disagree with someone, challenge them. And don't back down.
It's not always about getting the best possible photo. It's not always about like National Geographic. Like sometimes we just want to take photos because we want to have a memory of whatever it is that's happening. Like maybe I'm just on the plane with Dennis on our way to Kenya and we throw on this super fish because it allows us to get photos in areas and confined areas that we otherwise wouldn't be able to without it. It's those kind of moments that these lenses come in handy. Moments, it's kind of ironic that I said that. It's the name of the companies. Anyway, people don't want to start vlogs because they think to themselves, I don't have an interesting enough life to vlog. I don't do fun things like that. I don't travel. I live in the middle of nowhere. But those are all things that do not matter because you are the story. That's point number one. You're the story. If all you have to do for the day is clean out your garage, make that the vlog. Does that sound familiar? I did an entire episode which took like 5 minutes of me just cleaning out my garage. And I did see a lot of comments of people saying things like, I just watched this dude clean out his garage for like 5 minutes and I couldn't look away. And I had the same thing. I had tons of fun editing that sequence. Is that me skydiving out of a military cargo plane? No, that would be amazing. But it was still entertaining because I just took what I had in my environment. That's my life and that's what I'm sharing. So that's the story that I had to tell that day. What's your story? Where do you live? How can you make it work for you? Do you live near a lake? Do you live on a mountain? Do you live in the middle of nowhere? Do you hate where you live? Then make that the theme, make that a joke. Just show your environment because you're the product, you're the brand, you are what people are coming to watch.
I get it, I totally understand why people got upset about that. I should have been more considerate in the way I portrayed it. I never want to upset anyone. See, we all have our own moral compass that guides us through life, that tells us what's right and what's wrong. And what some people think is right, other people think is wrong, or what other people think. And sometimes those things are misaligned. In a million years, I didn't think people would get upset about me saying I don't like British food. So I end this first segment of Real Talk by saying I work really hard to like both not upset people and be true to like my own values, even if that means I don't like mushy peas. It's important for me to know that you know that. I encourage you to continue to share your perspectives in the comments below.
Only thing I'm trying to establish with you is not who's right or who's...
It's interesting, but I did want to take a second and just sort of explain my thesis on equipment in general for you. This is a very Jobsian, very Steve Jobs explanation of things. I will borrow some of his language for this. I hate camera gear. Just leave me alone so I can make movies. Over here you've got me, my ideas, my videos, my desire to share. And over here you've got the audience, a desire to watch. Now it's what stands in between that frustrates me. And that's the gear, the editing, the upload. So you always start on this side and you always end over here. The goal is always the same. You want to get from here to over here. This is what you have to get through. This is the mess. This is like the bad audio. This is when Final Cut crashes and wrecks your day. This is when you don't have a fast enough upload. These are the obstructions. This is the burden that you have to overcome to get to here. All right, I feel much better after having shared that with you. This is why, this is what I've been dealing with. This right here, this obstruction. The audio doesn't work in obstruction. The whole fun scene last night with Jesse and I on skateboards destroyed because one of these obstructions. That was the bad audio. All I want for my camera gear is for it to get the hell out of my way so I can make videos. All right, I'm gonna get some raw vegan lunch or something healthy.
I mean, it was just so much fun. Every day was just such great positive energy. It felt like a family the whole time. And I'm not just saying that, guys. Like, it didn't feel like work, even though we were all running around crazy. And like, especially you, every time I turn around, you were like I just see clothes flying, you know, everywhere because you were just on it. And
Thank you.
I just, it was just so, I'm just speechless. I honestly just don't know what else to say right now because it's like, you know, you sit there and you hope for something to go really smoothly and to go well, and I could not have asked for a better set. Guys, rehearsals are everything. You know, even if you don't have a lot of time to do something, I think it's so important to sit down with your actors, your teammates, like, and to talk through the scenes and just jive together because it makes a difference. And I'm all about learning people's languages, you know, when it comes to directing and just figuring it out together. So do that.
I'm just trying to get you guys over that hump that a lot of people don't even begin to vlog because of that barrier of, I don't have an interesting life, but you do. You're the story. Share what you love. And the third point is make a plan. Have a plan. Don't just set off into the world with your camera and be like, well, whatever happens today happens. Now, spontaneity, that's a thing of its own, and that can be great sometimes, but at the same time, it can be detrimental. Your vlog can just become a mess. If your vlog just becomes like a planless timeline of chronicled events throughout the day, it just ends up being like you're taking people on your chores with you. Then it ends up just being like, hey, I'm filling up my gas tank. So you don't want it to just be like a procedural, hey, now I'm at the grocery store, now I'm going downtown in traffic. Maybe that is your thing and you spin it to make it work for you, and I'd love to see it. But having a plan, just like people write a script or have a storyboard for a larger project, if you have an overall idea, it doesn't even have to be the most convoluted, super meticulous planned out thing, but even just like a theme idea. Today, I want to talk about how to vlog. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to hook up with Maddie, we're going to skateboard for a little bit, I need to go to the post office, I need to hit these places in order to deliver the content that I have in my head properly and well. If you just wander around and try to make it happen, yes, that works. I've done it. You can do it, but it's not as enjoyable for your audience to watch. And more importantly, it's not fun for you to make. It's not a good time when you're struggling through the day trying to vlog and you're thinking to yourself, this is just not working. This guy didn't show up. I don't know where to go. It's too sunny out now. My B-roll looks like nonsense. I can't find my drone here. And then you start to get frustrated, and that's not what the vlog is about. It's all about having fun. If we had to make a fourth point overall, I would say forget everything else and just remember to have a good time. Right? Sharing should be fun. Sharing the skills you have to help other people, sharing your own passions, sharing the relationships that you have in your life, and comedy and humor and sad moments and fun moments, and taking people on a ride, just like a movie or a TV show. It should be fun. It should be fun to make. It should be fun to shoot. It should be fun to share. And if any of those things are not happening, something is not working and you need to correct it.
I was thinking about talking about this, and then I was like, I'm not going to talk about it, and then I was like, I should talk about it. And then I was like, okay, I'll talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it. As I was finishing the edit for yesterday's episode, I learned of like the horrible, horrible terror attack in France. In today's episode, I included what I would describe as like a gesture of sympathy to the people of France. And whenever I make gestures of sympathy in this vlog, the reaction is always positive. But without exception, there are always comments akin to, "Nice to see what you did today, but the world needs to realize bigger stuff is happening. And really disappointed, Casey. Now you honor the deaths in France, but you haven't talked about the Dallas shoot. Casey, you know that people died in... Casey, why be sad for the French? Don't you think you should raise more awareness for the people?" This is not the news. They're just... Sometimes I see things and I feel it's appropriate to acknowledge them. Sometimes huge things happen and I don't acknowledge them, but it's... The attack in Nice was particularly personal for me. Owen and I were in Nice. We were on that same street where the incident happened. We were there 3 months ago, like right there. The bigger point is this: to show your support, to show sympathy for one thing, is not to say that you're against or you don't have sympathy for another thing. There's no hierarchy here. The only thing I can liken it to is like, say you visit your Nana in the hospital who's in room 603. Just because you're there to see Nana doesn't mean you don't feel bad for everybody else in that hospital. But when you walk in to see Nana, the nurse doesn't say, "I'm disappointed in you, Casey. How could you not visit everyone else in this hospital?" I bring this up not because my feelings are hurt. I don't give a shit about that stuff. I bring this up because it is empathy. It's the ability to show that I feel your pain that makes us human beings. And the monsters that shoot police in Dallas, or that monster that ran people down in a truck in France, or a monster that sets off a bomb in Medina, these people, they don't have the empathy that makes us human, the empathy that makes us people. And to constantly criticize people like me for how I choose to show empathy is to discourage that very human emotion. An emotion so powerful that it's an essential part of the healing process. And that healing process, the showing of empathy, it's what the world needs a lot of right now. It shouldn't be discouraged. What are you most grateful for in life, my hell? Are you more in love with the process or the result of creating things? The process. I love the making part.
Thanking everyone for being there, because it was just all of these years. You know, River's been with me for 8 years, you know, as far as like the story developing and changing and evolving all throughout this time. And it's so personal to me, but then to finally be at that moment and to be able to film it with all of you and see you all come to life, it was just so overwhelming. It was like, you know, being told no, you can't do it, and you know, for so long, and to finally be there and get the opportunity to prove what we can all do together was just like such a magical moment. So I want to encourage you all to like be okay with feeling, and to like to just acknowledge it and don't put it away, because we should be excited for these feelings and to feel it, because we're able to do jobs that we love to do. You know, we're so lucky to be able to be creative. You know, it's a process. So our shoot was 9 days. I know, crazy, because it should have been a 15-day shoot, like a 13 to 15-day shoot, but it was actually a 9-day shoot. We filmed it like 8-hour days. We were actually 18 hours under schedule, which is crazy. And yeah, we had stunts, we had night shoots, we had all kinds of stuff, and everyone was happy and smiling. We had about a month of prep before we started filming, and guys, like, why do I say all the time like prep is key, is because like I diagrammed every shot. Like I knew exactly how I wanted to block everyone and how I wanted to work with everybody, and you know, being prepared is everything. And that's why we moved so smoothly through the film, because everyone knew what they were doing, because you know, as the director, it's your job to make sure everyone's on the same page and understand what's going on, and you set the tone of everything. So if you're chaotic, the whole set's going to be chaotic. So you got to come in with like a peaceful, positive energy so that you can really set that tone with everybody else on set, you know? And I feel like that's, as a leader, that's what we have to do. And I say leave your egos. Like, you should never have an ego. Like, just leave it. Don't even bring it, because we're here as a collaboration. And, you know, I like to hear, you know, if somebody has like a better idea or something, like, I'll listen to it, you know? So I feel like it all starts with us, you know? So.
And that was something I really appreciated about you, especially when it came down to the script. It wasn't a situation like, you have to say this is how it's written. It's like, okay, what do you feel comfortable with there? Or how can you tell the story better? You know what I mean? And I think, you know, that's why we stayed up late at night and we're just, okay, like, how would you say this? Okay, how would you respond to this? And like, so thank you for giving us that freedom as artists to kind of work around different things and still being true to the story. Because I don't know how common that is, but it made such an impact on just chemistry and just communication. So that was definitely something that helped us set the tone and gave us a certain comfort level.
Yeah, I think it's so important. You know, I think it's important because obviously I want it to come naturally to you. Like, I want the words to come out of your mouth natural. I don't want it to feel forced or uncomfortable or like, no, I don't see this person saying that at all. You know, like, so I wanted you all to put your own twist to the words, you know, obviously keeping things on track of, you know, the direction we were going, but I wanted you all to bring your characters to life in the way you wanted to bring them to life as well. You know, I feel like it's collaboration. Like I keep, you know, like that I say a lot, it's true. Like, I want you to come in and be excited about Jamie, you know, I want you to be excited about him and say something from your perspective versus something, you know, I'm not a man, you know, like, you know what I mean? So kind of like, would he say it like this, you know? And then when you're like, hey, I think I would say it more like this, I'm like, oh no, that sounds so much better. Yes, please say it like that, you know? So I feel it's like, that's another thing, filmmakers, is that when you're working together, be open-minded, you know? Like, the script is a blueprint, I feel. And it's gonna change and it's gonna evolve even while you're filming. And it's okay that things kind of change, because those are the best moments that you're going to get, I feel, you know? Yeah.
Some of our best moments were things that we didn't even rehearse. I know for me and Mary, we had times where like, yo, we've been kind of this way in these last couple of scenes, so let's switch it up, or let's have a different attack or approach on it, you know? Or she's like, yell at me, or, you know, get upset. I'm like, how can I do that? Like, you're adorable, but, you know, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that, I think, you hit it right on the head. Is knowing your characters, but then also knowing the personalities behind your actors and your artists, and, you know, what type of, like what I said, what type of sauce they want to put on something, whether it's, you know, certain.
Power went out my light.
Uh-oh.
Here we are. And I just want to let you all know that if you really believe in something, you can absolutely obtain it. And don't listen to anybody that tells you otherwise. If I was to listen to people telling me that I can't direct and DP at the same time, then where would I be right now, you know? But I'm here to tell you, you can absolutely do anything you put your mind to. So welcome. I hope you guys are super excited. Thank you for being here.
How awesome is that? It's the little things, folks, that make the big difference. I always say that. It's not necessarily huge, obvious tips. It's the little things added up that make you a better artist, a better editor, better at what you do. And that's what I'm trying to do with you guys here. I'm trying to just help you out as best as I can.
And I do this too, which is really, really hard, especially when you're shooting in slow-mo or you've got a tracking shot of something happening. It's hard to know when to cut that because the shot might be so good, or that slow-mo looks so great, or that tracking shot looks amazing and you want to hold it because the payoff is still coming, or it's just incredible. It's knowing when to actually stop that and tie it into something else. That's the mark of a great editor, and I struggle with that myself too. So I think that shot could have been cut a little bit shorter. But dude, great job.
It's just, I think people, this is what Maddie always says, I think people always, like when they say stories first, like story's king, like if you're making YouTube videos, make sure there's a story. And I think a lot of people always think that means like there's a hero and a villain and like we must band together to defeat the villain. But it could be as simple as like, John gets up, John goes to work, John trips over the same thing he trips over every
Well,
day.
actually, I want to ask
becomes
that.
a story.
Yeah, explain to you or explain to me what story means to you, because that word is thrown around a lot.
It's an eye roller for me. People are like, make sure there's a story in your vlog.
Okay,
And I'm
what does
like,
that mean?
oh,
Right, and a lot of
it's
people are
like, you
wondering.
can't put a story in every vlog.
Right.
But it could be as simple as like, okay, we're gonna go downstairs to grab pizza. We could just stop filming now, and then the next shot could be us eating pizza. But if we wanted to make a story out of it, then like you need to like follow it along. We're going down the stairs, we're walking across the street, we're making an establishing shot. You talk about how often you eat pizza there, and then maybe I say something back like, how long has the shop been here or something. You're like, I don't know, but I eat here every single day. And then at the end, maybe I'm skateboarding by at the very end of the vlog and I look at that pizza place and I'm like, John.
Right.
We've made a story out of it, and we've made that place a connection to you, and then a connection to me, and we've both had an experience there, even though it's eating a pizza, and it seems very simple and a very, very straightforward line, but we made a story out of it. It doesn't have to have this like crazy mystery and plot thicken and none of that, but like it's more than just, hey, now I'm eating pizza. Hey, we're back in the office.
Right.
We've told the story.
What would that be, an update?
Yeah, it'd be like an update. Like, I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here. We've told the story of like going down the stairs, going across the street, this fighting the weather, like waiting in line, paying your money, eating it. How does it taste? And then back upstairs. And it doesn't feel like story very much, but that's exactly what it is.
I only have one piece of advice to offer on this round, on this 3 million. And that one piece of advice was given to me by a guy named Roman Atwood. And it's the best piece of YouTube advice I've ever been given. And it was 3 words. Just keep uploading. Why does Candace always look upset?
I don't know how to answer that. I'm always thinking about something other than whatever's in front of me.
I will say, all the comments for Candace are like, why doesn't she smile? She should smile for. They're almost always from men. And I think this expectation that women are always supposed to smile and look pretty is like bull.
Some guy said, why don't I wear makeup?
She's got a business to run. Makeup.
Is I made a lot of mistakes. So you're going to learn from some of the mistakes that I've made. And so that would be my other piece of advice to you guys. Let's go out and make some mistakes. Go make some mistakes. Go fail. I know it sounds weird, but go out and fail a little bit. Go get rejected, because it's going to happen. Get used to it. I was trying to set up a project with Hallmark Channel. I'd done a movie with them several years back. I was trying to set up another movie with them this year. Just found out, I think yesterday, that they're passing on it. I was like, so close. But that's part of the game. I was like, okay, move on. But the head of development over there, I know her. She's like, but if you have a Christmas thing or whatever, like I'll look at it. Like, I have the door open. That's fine. So go out and fail, and go out and make some mistakes. So I'm like a sort of a product of the '80s. That's how I grew up. So I saw Ghostbusters in the theater in 1984, and I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I didn't know exactly what I do, but I wanted to make movies. I saw a movie 4 times in the theater in 1984 when I was like 7 years old. I'm like, this is what I want to do. So those kind of Ghostbusters, Goonies, Back to the Future, Beverly Hills Cop, Karate Kid, Crocodile Dundee, Police Academy, that was like my era. That's the movies that made me want to make movies. And I remember my grandfather tells me, 7 years old, he's like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm like, oh, sounds pretty good.
I know about you that you've been very intentional in the past couple of years about the jobs you take, about the gigs you take. At some point, you would only take jobs that would have you travel somewhere. Sometimes it will be just jobs that are with educational purposes. How do you decide what to work on?
Yeah, a few years ago, I gave myself 5. I'm like, these are 5 requirements, and it has to be one of the 5. If it's more than one of the 5, it's great, but if it's not any of the 5, I won't do it. So it's like, have me travel somewhere, have it help the world in some way, learn something new or meet a new mentor that can teach me something, help a friend, and work for a giant big company like Nike, AT&T, Chevrolet, like all that.
Something good for your portfolio.
Exactly. Yeah. Something that I can list off like I just did. People are like, oh, look, she worked for so-and-so.
It seems like a huge element to your happiness
is coffee?
Well, yeah, actually, but is nature. It seems like if what are the 5 things, this is going to be probably a hard question to answer, but the 5 things that you believe consume the most of your happiness?
Family for sure. Okay. So my little girl, 100%. My little girl, my wife, just honestly family. That's why I've tattooed it on my hand so that I see it all the time, just as a good reminder, because it's the one constant, right?
And it's easy to forget family, and then you're like, boom, there it is.
100%. Right. So I would say family. And yeah, I never loved the outdoors as much as I do now. Like the older I get, the more I appreciate it. And that's happened with time. Yeah, I didn't care as much about nature. I couldn't drive, so I couldn't really go explore, and I hadn't really been anywhere. But as I get older and the profession that I've chosen, you go looking for photos, you go looking for places to film beautiful footage. And I just started exploring my own backyard and realizing like, wow, I love living here. It's like, I don't even live in Toronto. Like I live like on a lake far away, and it's amazing.
So when you say your own backyard, you mean literally?
Yeah, no, like, well, my backyard, no, like my backyard is not an actual lake, but like a stone's throw from my backyard is the lake and a series of lakes, and I can just get on my snowmobile and just mob them.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
Shannon asks, how do you define love? I don't know, but I know why I really love Candace is because I just always want to hang out with her. She's like my favorite person. Okay, here's a really sad question, but I will answer it, and this will be the final question that I will answer in this week's romantic Q&A. I can't tell if this person's being serious or not being serious, but I'm gonna answer this question seriously. Okay, this is literally the question. It's not funny, it's kind of funny, it's not funny. The question is, how does one find love when they're ugly? My mother-in-law, Candace's mom, says, there's a lid for every pot. And what that means is like, it's just about finding your match. And like, if a girl doesn't want to date you because she thinks you're ugly, she's definitely the wrong person for you to be pursuing. There is no science in romance and love. It's really like, you just gotta put yourself out there. You know, I am so unqualified to be even talking about this. I don't know why I picked this as a subject for this week. The Q&A this week is about love and relationships.
I feel like it's always about that.
Well, that's my favorite thing to talk about.
Okay.
So why do you love me?
Don't ask me that.
Come on.
That's not something I can just answer, and especially not on a camera.
Okay, then when did you know that you liked me?
The minute you left Houston to go to Paris.
Right after we met?
Yeah. Is that love or is that infatuation?
I don't know, I'll take either one.
Huh. Yeah, that's fine.
And I was just like a poor dopey nobody then too.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with that. Oh, that's so nice that you liked me then.
Yeah.
Work. Like, what is it about beauty and YouTube and what Michelle was doing that like was the perfect confluence that launched her to, you know, where she is?
Honestly, none of it is about the beauty.
Okay.
It's all about the personality of the person.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so many things that you could do with beauty. Like, only so many ways you can teach how to put eyeliner on. Only so many ways you can teach how to put lashes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about, oh, I want to watch this person. I want to watch their personality, their friends. And that's what I found through working in this YouTube world is it's all personality based. And it's all about, oh, this person's my friend. They upload every week and I get to hang out with them every week. That's why mukbangs are so popular in Korea, you know, the food eating videos, because lonely people just want somebody to eat with and to talk to. So I think that's why they popped off so big back in 2010-ish, 2012-ish.
Flow, being in New York City, especially
big city
collaboration too. Yeah, but yeah, how's your day been, and sort of what was the experience with?
It's like I don't go to the city very often, even in Toronto, just because it's just huge, and there's the more like claustrophobic I feel like that, just like I'm not productive and I just want to get out, and I start freaking out. So like when the streets are small, and I drive a pickup truck, so it's not exactly ideal in like city traffic.
Right.
So that stresses me out, and like the amount of people and trying to find parking, and it's just always a little hectic when you come from somewhere that it's like it's all open fields. You know what I mean? Like I come from like I walk to the mailbox with my dog off leash, and it's just like you just hear the birds and wind. I don't think I've heard a bird since I've been here, but like, so then you come to New York City and you get it just amplified by like 100,000. Everything is so much closer and on top and stacked, and it is like 8 million more people, and it's overwhelming. There's obviously incredible parts of the city. It's super cinematic. It's beautiful. There's amazing pockets, and as a cinematographer and photographer, it's endless to explore. But there's that like nature part of me that freaks out when I'm here, just because it's so opposite from everything I'm used to. So, but my wife loves it. Like, she could move to New York City for like, we've even talked about it. She's like, oh, I could easily, in a heartbeat, I could move to New York.
What was your response?
I was like, well, see you later. Like big gulps, eh? Well, see you later.
That's so funny.
I'm a bit of a homebody, believe it or not. Like, I don't really like going out very much. I'm not even like a very social person. Like, I am and I'm not. I'm kind of like the best of both worlds, in the sense of like, because I used to be a magician, right? So people always laugh because they're like, wait, you don't like going to parties or hanging out with people, but you used to like, your job was going to parties to entertain people. How does that make any sense? It's like I'm an introvert extrovert fusion combo, like Dragon Ball Z.
I feel like a lot of us are introverts, especially in the world that we're in right now, because we're YouTubers. And I feel like the reason that we film ourselves is so that we can sort of express some sort of extroversion.
I think so, yeah.
Emotions that I went through having witnessed something that happens in this country that I live in felt irresponsible. My general rule of thumb is never discuss problems unless you have an idea for the solution. And I don't know what the solutions to what feels like growing and almost institutionalized racism in this country might be, but I feel like we're at a place, and I'm at a place, where to not at least express my feelings about them to you would not only be irresponsible, but it would feel like I'm part of the problem in keeping my mouth shut. Fantasizing this idea of hustle, work all the time. Look, I believe in that. I really do. What it took for me to get this channel from 200,000 subscribers to 10 million was not sleeping, was uploading every single day for like 2.5 years. I busted my ass to build this channel, and I appreciate that. And I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for people who aren't willing to do that but want the success. Hard work is always required to get to where you want to be. You know, I never imagined YouTube taking me this far in life, but it has. Like, by hook or by crook, by luck, by hard work, I got to this incredible place. And now I have to stop, take a deep breath, appreciate that I'm here, and start to think of the long. Start to forget about clout and focus on longevity, focus on family, focus on making the work that I truly care about.
Now, if you're an artist or a filmmaker or a content creator in general, do you feel like you shouldn't even go mainstream towards TV or towards film or towards working with a music label, or should you focus on creating it all yourself? Because it still helps a lot of people who don't know how to do the online stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no answer to that question.
Right,
I think that it's one thing that everybody but the successful people fail to realize about any creative industry is that there is absolutely no defined path.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't one. So it's about paving your own path. And now for me, my path meant mainstream just didn't work, and new media did work. And for other people, it's entirely antithetical to that, where mainstream is exactly the right place for them.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no formula that's right or wrong. I'm just much better versed in my own the trajectory that I followed myself, and that includes really running away from the establishment and into whatever the most forward-thinking space is.
And when was that time? Did you say you started moving online?
It was a pretty aggressive inflection point in my career. It was 2010, but it just happened at once.
Right, gotcha. 2010.
We've thought about the theory of Peter, because a lot of people on YouTube do you?
No, I didn't know that.
Do you see videos on YouTube come out sometimes that are like, this is how Peter made it?
Yeah, I've seen like one dude did a video like how Peter got to 1 million subscribers in 9 months or whatever. And all my friends sent it to me, like everybody. I had literally probably like 45 different people sent me that video and were like, check this out, man, he's figured it out. And I watched it and it was very well done.
Was it accurate?
But the first thing, yeah, it was, for the most part, it was pretty accurate. But I remember saying to my wife, like, I didn't think about any of this stuff like he did. Like I just did it. It was all kind of like inherent, but breaking it down, I'm like, yeah, I guess that's right. Like, I guess I kind of do that. But it was really, really interesting that those are the things people pick up on. There's also tons of like how to vlog like Peter McKinnon, or I am not Peter McKinnon, and
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you see your style at a lot more places? And also, you don't have to mention anyone, but do you ever see your style sort of leaking into bigger YouTubers that people know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think like, I mean, let's use Casey as an example, right? Like when we first started getting together, I was like kind of inspiring him for a better production value, like getting creamier shots and like using ND filters and more like cinematography techniques and stuff like that. Not that he doesn't know any of that already, but I think that's where I inspire him, and where he inspired me was like being a better storyteller. I just always struggled with like finding a narrative and being able to like properly construct a vlog episode that had like a point to it, that had like merit, that had like vlogging with intent, instead of just heading out for the day and being like, I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here. Hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you. Why did I even shoot this today? So I think a lot of people, and you can see it in my comments, are like, wow, it's so cool. Since you guys started hanging out, I can really see his production quality like increasing, and we can see your storytelling getting better as well. And then you get the people who just don't know that, and they're like, you're a Casey wannabe. Like, which is if I wear Ray-Bans, I get like hate in the comments. If I ride a skateboard, like it's.
And Casey's been open about being influenced by you. He's said it multiple times on his channel.
Yeah. It's like, it's funny because like I almost feel like sometimes people that watch the videos, or the commenters or trolls or whatever we want to call them, they almost like to try to create some sort of like false drama, like, oh,
like they don't even believe it themselves.
Yeah, it's like you guys do know we're friends, right? Like we text out like all the time. As much as I love it here, as much as I travel, like I still like being at home. Like I said, I'm very much like a homebody. Like I don't enjoy the traveling process, but I enjoy the locations usually that I'm in, because they're usually mountains. But
right.
So when I get here, I got to make the most of it. So I've just been like trying to collab with as many people from the area as I can. So that's why I'm here, was the Creator Summit ultimately, and then to try and fit in stuff like this.
So you add a few more extra days on your trip to see how many collaborations you could fit in?
No, actually I didn't add any extra time. I skipped a few things that I was supposed to go to make videos with my friends.
Really? And you've been going all day today too?
Yeah, I've been going all day today, all day yesterday. But like, I just think like while I'm here, make the most of it. Sleep is not a priority. Like get the things done that you should do, and you can sleep when you get home.
Right.
Yeah.
How important is collaboration in growing your YouTube channel?
I think it's more important for just you as an individual. I think like forget growing a channel altogether. I think it's just important to be able to create with other people that create, because YouTube, and I've said this before, it's actually like the loneliest job I've ever had.
Really?
Because you're always, maybe before you're in an office, or you work in a retail shop, or you're working with friends and you get to know the people around you. And before this 7 years, I worked for a company that was basically an online entity, and everyone worked from their homes around the world. So even that was kind of lonely, but I would Skype with those people on a daily basis. So like three people on a Skype call, 4 people on a Skype call, or just one-on-one for like 4 hours. So it still felt like you were working with someone. But with YouTube,
sorry, what job is this?
We'll get into that.
Okay,
like,
I can't wait.
I basically worked at Hogwarts, but we'll
okay,
buckle up. But I still felt like I was working with people. But then here I'm doing tutorials, and I go out, shoot some B-roll, shoot like a segment, like you might go skate and then do some talking points and then come back and edit it. And you may not have seen anybody or interacted with anybody all day, because it's just like you're the single employee of the John Hill channel.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, I'm the single employee of Peter McKinnon channel. And so it's super lonely. So I think collaborating with people is like going to a convention for skateboarding. You're like, oh, I'm with a bunch of skaters and we all share the same passion. Right. And so like when I get here and we hang out and we're in New York and we can talk about the same things that stress us out being YouTubers. And I think that's important, aside even like these things are fun, and it's fun for your audience to meet me and my audience to meet you. And I think that's cool because people can see a different side of creativity that has nothing to do with photography or cinematography, and they get to see how you perceive the world and art, and then vice versa for my channel. But yeah, I think it's better for a person's like just like soul than it is for like numbers.
Right.
And numbers help, like obviously depends who you collab with. I mean, you know, Sarah's got like amazing experience with like Casey blowing up her channel, and like I got 100,000 subscribers from Casey in a day.
Did you?
Yeah. So like there's obviously benefits with collaborations, but I don't think that's where the train stops. I think it goes much further than that.
And I will say, when I first started my channel, it's funny because I wanted to create something different in my world, which I feel like I did, and then all the collaborations, like I thought then that it was all collaboration. I thought once you create the good content, like you
have to collab.
Right. I figured that. But you like right off the bat, right, did very well.
Yeah,
like,
and I didn't collab with anybody. Like the first collaboration I did was like Sean Duras. Probably, I mean, I think I was nearly 500,000 subscribers at that point, like maybe just below it when I like first had another YouTuber like that on my channel.
And how fast did you get to 500,000?
Well, it was probably like less than half a year. I still worked my full-time job right up until like 400,000 subscribers. And then I was like, I should quit. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So when people come and they say, well, how did you get your channel so big so fast? Like, how did you just start making videos like this quality? And I was like, well, I've been doing it for 7 years just with this company. And before that I was shooting weddings and shooting my own stuff. And like the explanations, I would help creators in the magic world, like do a tutorial. So I'd give them talking points and help them with that. So when it came time to just do my own videos, I've already been doing it forever. So I just did it for myself.
Well, that's the thing though. Like so there's a lot of filmmakers who I think get into YouTube, but they still don't pop off that way. They don't ignite like your channel did. How important, if you had to maybe give it in 100%, how much percent goes to storytelling as opposed to actual skill at filmmaking? For you, how much do you think?
I don't even think it's for me. I just think it's like, just in general, I think it's 50-50. I mean, story is the most important aspect. Like I when I give talks, like I often say this, you're walking out of a movie theater, right? It's that 5 minutes after the movie ends and you're walking out and everyone's judging the movie. Like everyone's talking about the ending that just happened, or like, what did you think? And like, you know, you turn to Sarah and you're like, did you like it? And I turned to my wife and I'm like, hey, what did you think? And you never hear feedback like this. You never hear feedback like, yeah, those slider shots in the bathroom when that fight scene, they were a little like jittery. Like I think that slider could have been a little smoother, or like the key light when they were having that interview at dinner, I didn't like how strong the rim light on his hair was. Like I feel they could have probably pulled that back a little bit. The things you hear are things like, I didn't understand it, or I fell asleep, or I didn't like the ending, or that didn't make sense, or I feel like they forgot one part. All story related issues. Everyone's complaints of the movie always has something to do with the story. Never the cinematography. Never like that should have been on a tripod, or it was too shaky, maybe with the exception of like Blair Witch or something like that back in the day. But almost always it's a story related issue. You're like, oh, Inception had such a great ending because it was such a good story. Or you look at something that had a terrible ending and you're like, what? That's it? Who wrote that? Like, how does it just end? Like it's terribly unsatisfying. So it's always story related stuff. Someone falls asleep in a movie, just like they were so bored, they were so lost, like you weren't able to actually hold someone's attention that they fell asleep during a movie. That's so crazy to me. So I would say story is far more important than cinematography or filmmaking.
Well, where do you think you got that though? I mean, with 7 years of experience, it would be 7 years. It would seem like all the experience goes towards filmmaking, since you're creating content for a company rather than telling your own story.
I think it's kind of like a perfect storm at the right time. I mean, when I started YouTube, all my friends were telling me not to start it. They were like, excuse me, they were like, you missed the boat, man. Like there's so many YouTubers already. Like you're just like another one of like the how many people trying to start a YouTube channel. Like you should probably just try something else. And then one friend, Chris Ramsey, was like, dude, when's the last time you made something for you? I was like, I honestly don't know. Like I've been doing this magic stuff for so long. Like I don't even remember how to use a camera for myself. And he's like, just make a video. Like you're always doing those camera hacks. Like just do a video, like some of your favorite camera hacks or whatever. That's the video that ended up popping and getting like the most views of any video that I have. But I think it's just like a combination of, I was doing tutorials and vlogs, supplementing like a niche on YouTube that like, until like I kind of arrived and other people as well, it wasn't being filled. Tutorials were super boring, or like the voiceovers were like, it was like an automated computer that someone just like typed in the explanation of how to do something on Adobe, and it was just always really bad. Like you would open up a tutorial and just be like, this is just, I can't believe I have to sit through this. Just get to the part where I know, like, I just need to know how to turn the audio down. Like, please just, how is this so terrible? So then I kind of started adding like a vlog aspect to tutorials with personality, with cinematography and production value and like hitting a niche that hadn't really been hit before. I think it was just like the perfect combo. People were like, I like this. This is really easy to learn. I've just got this like knack for teaching. I think it just all kind of melded together into this like perfect baseball that I was able to just crack like perfectly, right?
Right. Well, how did you decide after making that first video with zero talking, all hacks, all teaching?
Yeah.
There was this formula for the first video and it popped off right away.
Yeah.
How did you decide from there that you were going to add some extra flavor? How did you decide to add the talking and the vlogging and then whatever else you added?
Yeah, I mean, well, that comes from the background as well, just because like the structure for like the job I used to have would be like, all right, John performs the trick, we show it in the street, we make like a cool little B-roll segment for it, like a really flashy trailer, and then we go back to the studio and then John explains it, and then we do an intro and the whole explanation, then the outro, and then it's done with like a little bit of an ending. So I just followed the formula I'd been doing for my job for 7 years and applied it to photography, and it worked kind of the same way. So it's super easy. It was just that video popped, and then I thought to myself, well, I should do another one because people are coming to the channel to watch. Like there's nothing else for them. So, well, I don't know how to color grade fast. Cool. Put it up, drop the thumbnail in there.
So there was no thought in looking at other titles or looking at SEO?
No, I didn't know how. I just started making videos head down, just record.
Like titles, you had no concept of what would do well.
No. And the more I did, the more I started thinking like, oh, this makes a difference. Like I should actually put some work into the title. Because as you know, we're YouTubers. You could have the best video in the world, but if you mess up the title and the thumbnail, it's useless. And it's unfortunate that it dictates so much of the success of our work.
It does.
And it's very unfortunate, but like, and that's where clickbait comes from. And I know people that aren't YouTubers are always very critical of clickbait, but it doesn't come from a place of us like desperate for views. It's just like, we work really hard on our videos, and if this is the landscape that we have to play in, then we have to play in it. And I'm not going to apologize because I clickbaited you.
You don't even do it that bad though. You've never done it. Really.
I actually really love clickbait. Like when someone clickbaits me, I'm like, oh, good work.
10. And when did you start to realize once you went online and followed your path that I'm picking up traction and it's actually doing something. It's giving me money. It's making me opportunities. When was
it was
that?
slower, much slower than you'd think. Much slower.
It was like a year ago or something.
Yeah, I mean, it manifested in a number of different ways. Like my early career-wise, my early sort of means of income when I was online is by doing advertising.
YouTube ads.
Not YouTube ads, just doing any kind of advertising, branded content, because I would make the very best movies I could possibly make. I'd put them on YouTube. And they wouldn't always get huge numbers, but I think important people, the people who made decisions in the branding space, would see them and they had an appreciation for the style or the tone or the perspective. And they saw an opportunity to sort of partner with me for their companies. Right. And that's how, early in those days, like 2011, 2012, I was doing big branded content deals with companies like Nike and Google. Huge companies, even though my reach and my audience wasn't that big, it was because I think of an appreciation, for what I was making.
And again, art, and they liked it and it matched with their brand.
Yeah, I don't know about. Yeah, I think calling it art is a determination that you can make. I don't know that I would call it art, but I think they just saw something like, okay, we have an appreciation for what this is.
Sure.
What could we do with this guy?
Yeah.
And those branded deals were sort of the earliest
money makers for you.
Yeah, I think it's the first thing that really quantified what would be called success in that space, is showing that appreciation and then figuring out how to turn it into something that actually helped pay the bills.
What was that first branded deal that you're like, whoa, this is actually something, was it a couple grand? Was it 20 grand? Was it like, oh, okay.
I mean, no, these are real money deals. And when I say real money, that's because prior to jumping into this space, I had historically worked in advertising.
Gotcha.
I mean, literally since the early, like 2005-ish, 2004, even before that, I was always doing ad deals because ads are how I paid the bills. And I was never successful doing TV commercials. I'd get a lot of them because people would like my work and I'd get the jobs, but I was a terrible TV commercial director. I just didn't know what to do. You show up on a union set with a $500,000 budget, and you have everybody doing everything, and like I literally is like, what do you need me here for? You have a storyboard and a DP, so you have like a drawing of what the picture should look like, and then a cinematographer to capture that picture. Like, what do you need me here
to direct?
So I'd do my best, but whether I like gave it everything I had or I just like slept in my trailer for the whole shoot,
it got done.
At the end of it, it looks the same, which was something that was like the mushy in the mushy, invisible commercials that your entire audience sees on TV every day and forgets them before they're over.
Right.
And that was frustrating for me. And when I shifted to online, I remember saying to the TV production, the commercial production company I worked with that represented me, that got me the jobs, I said, I don't want to do this crap.
For the online stuff, yeah.
No, not for the online stuff, for mainstream television.
Okay, got you, yep.
I said, I don't want to do this like crap. I don't want to make TV commercials anymore. I'm going to go make online content, get me deals where I get to work directly with brands, no agencies. And I just put videos on the internet. And they said, like, that will never happen.
Wow.
So I stopped working with them right then and there.
Screw you.
Yeah. And went in my own direction. And that's when the real brand deals started to happen. You know,
were they your relationships, or people just came to you?
It was a combination of both. You know, like
referrals and whatever.
Nike, for example. Like I look back and I did a tiny job for Nike. That was like, Nike has some brilliant people working for them, and one of them is a good friend of mine named Julian. He was like a special forces guy, so he just had a tiny tertiary budget that he was able to do interesting things with.
Right.
And he asked me to make a bike video. And nobody guys saw this video, and this was like really early on, way back in the day. And I made this video and I put it online, and they loved it and I loved it, and nobody saw it. But about a year and a half later, Nike called me and they're like, we want to do something big. And it was a 3 video deal, real money, really big deal.
Multiple six figures.
Yeah, big time. And the kind of money that would be spent on a typical TV commercial, except for it was a budget that was given to me entirely with full discretion on my end.
Amazing.
And we made 3 videos, and the first 2 were very successful. They starred their huge, AAA $100 million athletes like Hope Solo, just kicked ass in the World Cup, and Ndamukong Suh in the NFL, and like really amazing. And we made a fantastic movie together, and they were very successful. And the third video, 3 of 3 videos for Nike, was this video that I had pitched them that they were totally hip to. And at the 9th hour, I decided not to do that video at all, but to just take the whole budget and do something I've always wanted to do, which is like travel around the world until the budget evaporated, till I was out of money. And then I figured I would turn that into the Nike video. And Nike...
And how did that do?
It's, I think, still the most watched video that Nike's ever put online in the history of
No way.
Nike, yeah.
And what do they think
It
about
might be number 2. We might have been displaced, but I know I held that spot for like well over a year.
Wow.
They were nervous at first.
More than any LeBron James video or any...
I have to check numbers, but it killed. It was between Nike's channel and my channel, it's like 20 million views.
Wow, amazing.
But not only that, but because of the narrative, which was very open, and I discussed this with Nike ahead of time, so it's not quite as nefarious as it sounds, but like, I took a budget that I was supposed to spend on making a commercial, and instead I spent it doing something that I personally wanted to do, which was like run around the world like a crazy person.
And have fun.
But really it didn't diverge at all from the narrative, which is this idea of like, make it count, just do it. So even though it was a really indirect commercial, it was much more about a brand. It had nothing to do with the product. In fact, I was not wearing any Nike gear in the entire commercial. I'm wearing a Patagonia coat.
Shut
up.
And
the product that it was supposed to be for, I didn't have in my possession for the entire shoot.
No way.
There's no Nike branding in it whatsoever.
But the story was Nike.
Sure, but when they saw it, they were like, we don't know what this is, but we think that people are going to like it. So just put it on your YouTube channel and let's see what happens.
And we spent a few $100,000, so let's see what happens, right?
Yeah, but I think they didn't know, but it was wildly successful. It thrust me way out in the limelight. It was all over the news. It was in newspapers. It was in, homepage of yahoo.com. It was everywhere. And it really was exciting for me, and I think exciting for Nike. And I look at a company like Nike, and you wonder why they are such a kick-ass brand. You wonder why there are so many people so loyal to that company. And it's not just the product. It's the ethos behind the brand.
Yeah.
And when I look back and I say, like, who's the maniac who wrote me this big fat check and then just let me do my thing? Like, that's crazy. How do you get that approved? You realize that is what makes Nike great. And, like being at the VMAs last night where I had both hands tied and both feet tied and like a babysitter and a minder and like all these leashes put on me by Viacom.
Of what you can do or you can't do.
Everything. You realize that like, okay, this is why MTV is quickly getting more and more irrelevant.
Wow.
Is because it's like the stodgier and more bureaucratic you are when trying to apply or appeal rather to today's youth, today's young people, the people that are that comprise this generation, they only respond to honesty, integrity, and like a real sort of forward-looking perspective on what creativity is.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can bureaucratize that.
Wow.
And now there are more and more companies, Nike's certainly always been one of them, that realize that, and they know that they have to take chances. And you're seeing more and more of that. And I think that in itself is why online content is proliferating in the way that it is, and television and these sort of old media is depreciating at such a rapid pace.
If someone offered you a TV show, would you take it?
No chance.
Even if the biggest
No
network?
chance. No chance. I was on the biggest network.
Right.
No chance.
It's
There's
not
no
worth
way.
it.
The viewerships I do now, it's
crush it.
There's
So
I mean,
you put out a video, how many viewers in the first week?
I mean, right now, and this changes daily, but right now it's like a bad day for me on YouTube is about 700,000. A good day is about 1.5 million. So that's
when you
about
post
where
the
I
video
average.
every day, or
In aggregate. So my
Gotcha.
YouTube channel does anywhere close to around 1 million views a day.
Yeah.
And if you just appeal like raw numbers, apply that to television, that would be a hit show.
That's like the biggest show. It's like The Biggest Loser or something. It's getting that many.
It would be considered a very
Stars or something.
It would be considered a very successful show, but it's not just the numbers. It's the relationship that young people have with content that they see online that they choose to watch versus the content that they see on TV, which is fed to them. And that is a sort of a profound idea that I didn't understand until my show on HBO. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, I'm 34. So when we were kids, like we watched however much Nickelodeon or MTV
so
as
much,
we
man.
possibly watched.
TRL?
Before our
Of
parents
course,
yelled
yeah,
at us.
yeah.
But you have no control over that.
Yeah.
You turn on the TV and you're at the behest of whatever the channel is putting in front of you. And if you liked it, you kept watching. If you hated it, you kept watching. And that was it. That was your relationship. But when it comes to online content, like I look at the way my son consumes this stuff, and it's like, if he's not interested, he doesn't watch it.
He goes to the next video.
There's 1 billion channels on YouTube.
It's crazy.
And the inverse of that is if you do watch it, it's because you genuinely want to consume that stuff. So the relationship that the people who choose, who like take their precious time to watch my stuff online versus the people that maybe passively consumed it on TV, that relationship is so different and so huge that it makes it very hard for someone like me to be attracted at all to something like TV.
Man, that's fascinating.
Speaking of confidence, before you did YouTube, your magic career, you said the business was doing really well.
Yeah.
So you had a steady, good
I had
job.
a full-time salary, been paying the bills for 7 years, like nothing to worry about, great boss, great employees, total freedom, work from home.
Well, what made you feel like you wanted to try something else if you were doing so well?
I think it was just getting complacent. I was just getting bored. Like I'd just been doing it for so long. It wasn't a challenge. Decks of cards would arrive. I would take the same photos, the same places, using the same props, maybe change it up a little bit, shoot that way instead of this way. And you know what I mean? Like when you get complacent with anything, it's just like, you start to develop that like yearning for something more to creatively like satisfy that like hunger for like content creation. I just wasn't getting that. And my wife could see that. And she was like, when you started the job, like the first few years, you were still looking for like freelance stuff. You were still taking on projects with your friends. She's like, you don't do any of that now. Like I haven't seen, like, I don't even know when the last time you like went out and like just took photos. I don't even know the last time you did that. And I was like, wow, it really has just consumed my entire creative life. And that's where that whole conversation with Chris came in, when he was asking me like, when's the last time you actually created for yourself? So it came from a place of like just needing to do more, needing to do something different. And I've been working my whole life to just work for myself,
right?
Which was probably the biggest motivator. Like from day one, I've just been trying to be self-sustained, work for me. I'm the boss. I decide everything. And this was the perfect answer for that. I decide when I upload. I decide what I upload. I decide when it's done. I decide everything. And that's why people always ask me like, would you ever shoot movies? Is that what's next? Shooting movies? And like, no, because I would just be like a camera operator. Like even the director, I still don't work. Like the directors don't usually shoot the movies. There's a DP doing it, an ASC doing it, not me. So I like the fact that I have full control. I often answer that question with like, I would rather be in a movie than actually shoot a movie.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
And like acting.
I would rather act in a comedy than an action, like whatever. I would enjoy it so much more than shooting it.
Really?
Yeah, it's fun. It's so good I want to do it so bad, but he did a great job. It looks amazing. I don't want to rip him off, but it inspired me to like, okay, like I've got some creative IKEA ideas as well. Like how can I make a video? So then I made a video about how I used to go into IKEA and use all their pre-set up living rooms and stuff as like sets for photo shoots. So I'd bring products to IKEA, and you know how they have like.
How did you get away with that?
I just walk in with my camera and shoot everything I could.
Seriously,
did a whole video on it. Yeah. And I just leave.
For the magic people.
That was just for me. Like if I needed to like shoot a watch, I'd go in and like put it on the counter because they have like They have a whole clean setup. Same thing. I used like when I did stock.
That's a great tip for people.
Yeah. Here's another one. Like when I used to do stock photos, I would run into model homes, like because they're selling a model home. It's perfectly clean. I would just shoot the whole house, get nice crispy interiors, and then upload them to stock photo websites and make money off those. Yeah, man.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I did like the same thing with IKEA. So it's like, that's my version of like an IKEA hack inspired from a totally different video that was sort of the same, but like the content is completely different.
Right. And at the same time, if you do a video that's similar to a smaller channel, I mean, do you think it hurts or helps more? I feel like it helps more.
I think it would just help because it would just suggest that video, especially if IKEA is in there and he's tagged IKEA in his video and we're both photographers and cinematographers. Like his stuff shows up as suggested.
Exactly.
All ships rise with the tide.
Dude, okay, so how important do you think it is to incorporate or to actually work on the sound in a video, since most people, for sure, most people don't even think about sound at all.
No. Sound is scary. Sound is scary for a lot of people. Like a lot of people are just like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. And I totally understand because it is like very finicky. It's also kind of boring sometimes, but your brain processes audio before it processes video. So just hearing something would remind you of New York. If you heard like a bunch of clips and they played another one, you might be like, that's New York.
And it would make me smile.
I'm back. And you'd probably be able to hear South Carolina. Just like I would know like the sounds of like Northern Canada or the sound of someone's voice, or so there's a huge memory bank in there that you can tap into when you're watching something, so they pair perfectly. Like if you actually turn off, I think I did a tutorial where I showed that entire Kenya thing without any of the sound effects, and it's super weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like it doesn't pull you in whatsoever, but when you hear all the sound design, you feel like you're experiencing the culture. You feel like you're right there in the footage. It's just like Transformers or any kind of Marvel movie, whatever. If none of the sound was there when like their gun cannons come out, it would just lose all of its effect. Like Iron Man puts his hand up and you get that like if that thing was gone, he'd just be, and it would lose all impact. So it's a massive vehicle in also telling that story efficiently.
What do you think it is that separates the guy who breaks through? What was it for you that helped you break through to become a successful photographer? Because you are.
Yeah, I think like being able to find and stay true to a style, an aesthetic. All the really great photographers that I know have a very distinct style. Like if I'm talking about them with my friends, I can just say a name and you can see like their entire body of work, versus being like, John Hill's a great photographer, and you're like, I didn't even know he takes photos. Does he, like, what does he have? I haven't seen any. Or you talk about Brandon Wolfel is another Instagrammer that the second I say his name, like all the guys everyone that know photography, they're like, oh, neon, like
he's the guy everyone says like, you're like, copying Brandon.
You're copying Brandon Wolfel, right. Yeah. But like I think working on developing a style like that, figuring out what it is that you like to shoot, be it that it's portraits or landscapes or food or whatever. Like Dennis, my friend Dennis, is known for food photography. So if I say to my friends like, something like Dennis would shoot, they're like, oh, Dennis makes me so hungry when I look at his photos. Like his photos are incredible.
Nice.
So I think like working to find that is important. Right. And sometimes it takes forever. Like it took me, like, I'm kind of the landscape guy, and I'm trying to shift it right now actually to change up my style, because I don't want to just be stuck to it. I don't want to be bored, because I'm getting a little tired of shooting mountains and stuff like that. I love them, but I'm trying to get a little more like urban and lifestyle so I can photograph stuff everywhere. But yeah, I think it's just taking time to identify what your strengths are, and then really sticking to something that makes sense for you instead of trying to emulate what other people are doing.
See, it's more competitive. It's much harder to get to get anywhere in the space now, but it's so new that for me, what's most interesting about any overlap with other big YouTubers or big people in the space is that like we get to share our experiences and share our understanding, because it's such an undefined space that there's no other way to really learn about it than by being in it. It can't be taught. YouTube doesn't know. They're building the best tools they can, but they're just providing us the tools. It's up to us to build the house.
Yeah.
So being around other YouTubers, like at VidCon, for example, where we first met, is it just a tremendous opportunity for me to really share my own understanding and then to learn from other people. And that's what's most exciting about the collaborations I do with other YouTubers.
Sure. How long was that video shoot with Nike where you went around the world? How long did it take?
We did that shoot, we said 10 days, it was actually 9 days. And then there was a huge battle on Reddit because nobody believed that I did that in 10 days.
How many different countries did you go to?
I don't know the number, but it was absurd.
You were flying everywhere.
Yeah. And the reality of it was like much less it was incredible, but it was much less romantic.
You weren't sleeping. You were like,
We went the first 5 days without laying vertically. I'm sorry, without laying horizontally.
Yeah.
So that meant we were sitting in
trains and planes.
Trains, planes, coach seats in the back, piled in the middle. And these aren't coach seats on like British Airlines or something nice. This is like inter-African airlines that are just like really punishing day in and day out. And most of the locales we were in for an hour or two.
Just shooting and then it's on the next.
That's exactly right.
Let's get the shot, go.
That's exactly right.
Grab a bite to eat, see ya.
Yeah. There was no sitting on that beach. We literally got to the beach, ran through it, and then jumped on a plane.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Wow. What's the key to being successful on YouTube or creating content online right now? Is it having the nice fancy camera? Is it the production value? Is it your personality?
If I could define what it took, I think a lot more people would follow that trajectory because it's the greatest job in the world. But so I don't know what's right, but I can definitely tell you what it's not. And what it's not is having the best gear, first of all. Like the vlog that I posted this morning, I posted it like 5 hours ago, and it's really I'm looking at my cell phone right now to tell you guys exactly how many views it's done in the last couple of hours.
Cell phone?
I don't know what I did.
It's on the ground.
Is it on the ground? How do I lose a cell phone? Like I'm sitting in one spot. Here it is. But what the key is not is the gear. And I think that's what's so
limiting for people when they think I've got to have the right gear, the right mic.
That's wrong. Like my HBO show was shot on a point and shoot that we bought at Walmart.
Really?
But I mean, so much of my YouTube, one of my most watched videos on YouTube called Bike Lanes, which has over 15 million views, that was shot on the crappiest of point and shoot cameras.
Really?
Yeah, just so it's not. It's what you do with the tools, not what the tools are themselves. So I'm just looking at my stats right here. So my video that I posted this morning, so I posted it 3 hours and 58 minutes ago, and it has 140,000 views.
On YouTube?
Yeah, in the last 3 hours.
It's amazing.
This video primarily was shot on my cell phone.
Wow.
Because
iPhone 6?
Because MTV didn't allow any cameras at the VMAs, but they did allow cell phones. So when I'm standing there being like, you guys realize that every cell phone has a video camera built in, and how ridiculously contradictory. All this means is that there's going to be a million bad videos posted instead of a million videos. Regardless, half that video was shot on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And it's just not. It's like, if you can do great things with a terrible camera, you can do great things with a great camera. So I really like to drive home that point, because my favorite aspect of creating online is how accessible, democratic, egalitarian it is. Like we all, me selling a TV show for a couple $1 million to HBO, I believe that it was primarily the merits of what we made. But I also know that we had Christine Vachon as our producer, who's tremendously influential. She's a big-time producer. She's the one who got us the meeting with Carolyn Strauss, the former head of programming at HBO.
Right.
They had a relationship. There's nepotism involved. There were big Hollywood producers and agents and facilitators involved. And your average kid sitting in Ohio right now in front of his computer doesn't have that kind of access.
No.
What he has is an internet connection and a crappy camera from Walmart.
That's it.
And that should be enough. And I think right now, because of technology, for the first time ever, that is enough. And I love that. I love that. I love how fair that is.
Yeah. What about when editing comes into play, when people are like, well, I don't know how to use these editing tools and I can't edit the way you do. You've got when I say you're an artist, it's like your editing is so stylistic and beautiful in my mind. When I watch your videos, I'm like, I love the way you edit it. And I feel like that's an art form. And that takes time and energy.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you, if you're not Casey Neistat, who's been doing this for 15 years and can whip it out and edit in a couple hours after he shoots it, or 10 minutes, how does someone get over that?
I mean, work.
Yeah,
I watch LeBron James play basketball, and I'm like, it's bullshit that he's so much better than I am, but the guy's been like, he's dedicated his life to something, and of course he should be incredible at it. And something like editing, like there's only one way to get good at editing, and that's to put your 10,000 hours in.
Or outsource it.
You know, I don't know. I've never outsourced any of my vlogs.
All your editing you
soup
do.
to nuts, top to bottom, that was just me. And I have worked with collaborators. That Nike video, which I think is one of the best videos I've ever made, my friend Max Joseph edited that because he's a better editor than I am.
There you go.
But, you know, Max is a big famous Hollywood director, so he's not the kind of person that'd be able to edit my stuff.
Sure.
But the truth is, like, my HBO show was edited in iMovie, which is a free download.
There you go.
So again, it's like,
it doesn't have to be this elaborate editing with text overlays and graphics or anything. It can be simple and still be effective.
Yeah, I don't even think it's that. I think it's less than that. I think it's that these tools are accessible by all. These tools are free, and we can all use them.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter what the tool is. It's what can you do with it.
Mm-hmm. What was the dream for you growing up? Because I know you lived in a trailer home, I saw, for a while, and you had a kid when you were 16. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of 4 kids, and we kind of like lower middle class household. And it's just tough because there was my older brother who was the firstborn, and he's so incredibly good looking. And then my sister was the secondborn, and then my little brother is the baby.
Yep.
And I was like this accident that happened 13 months after my sister was born. And I think like when you're in that position as a kid, you learn quickly you have to scream the loudest to get noticed.
I was the youngest of 4, so I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I don't know, but yeah, I was really got in a lot of trouble in school. I never did well. Never did well at all. Dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, ran away from home kind of thing. Wow. Never went back.
Never finished.
Never finished. Never went back to my parents' house. Like never looked back on either of those.
Have you talked to your parents since?
Yeah, very close relationship.
You just never went back.
Never went back. Like never moved back in with mom and dad.
Where'd you live?
I mean, like bounced around to friends' apartments for a while. And
like 16.
No, that was at 15.
Wow.
That was 15. Yeah. But yeah, no. Then had a baby when my son was born. It was 2 weeks after my 17th birthday. So the whole pregnancy, I was 16 years old.
Man, that's got to be emotionally heavy, man. Were you okay with it?
No, I say this with much reluctance, but honestly, looking back, and this is unique to me, this is not advice to any kids that might be listening to this great podcast. It was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me.
Having a kid when you were 17?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I mean, I have another daughter now, and like I really believe I was put on this planet to be a dad. It's my favorite. I've never not been a dad. I was a kid when I had a baby, so I was either a child or a parent. And crazy. I never not want to be like it's the profundity that is living for something bigger than yourself. And for me, that's what having a child was. And it seems a little bit absurd to say that at age 17 that it had that impact on me. And I don't know how cognizant of it I was then, but looking back at it, it was like, that was the inflection point.
Wow.
Because prior to that, I was just like another selfish little punk ass high school kid who
getting in trouble.
Sold dime bags in the parking lot and just caused trouble. But immediately after Owen was born, it was like, okay, now if I screw around, it's not just me, but
wow.
And that is a huge deal. And everything that I've ever done, especially since then in the really, really hard years right after he was born, was just you do it because you're fighting for someone else. And the motivation that is that, I think, is so much stronger than anything else out there. Any of my other selfish sort of ego-driven ambitions pale in comparison to the ambitions that are, wanting to succeed for someone else.
Do you get more inspired by people outside of YouTube that influence your YouTube work, or are you just gung-ho focused on YouTube right now?
I'm gung-ho focused on YouTube right now, but I'm really inspired. It sounds cheesy, but I'm just inspired when my friends kill it. So if Chris Howe is out there in Iceland, comes back and gets just incredible drone shots, I'm like, oh, I love it. I need some good drone shots. Let's go shoot. Stuff like that. It's when I see my friends succeed and make incredible stuff, it just pumps me up to just make incredible stuff again, or with them, or, not in a competitive way, because we all operate on what benefits you benefits me kind of thing. And, it's better when there's no competition, obviously. But just seeing my friends who are great filmmakers succeed and just make great photos and great videos just incredibly inspiring for me.
And just keeping it like a consistent collaboration and inspiration, as in like if your friends create something good, think of something that fits you that you might get inspired by with them instead of thinking them as the competitor, because that's unhealthy very quickly.
Oh, very much so. So like I think it's important, like creating a network of people around you if you can that do like-minded things, like we talked about earlier, like this summit, finding friends that do the same thing. Happen to have a lot of them locally, but we all kind of build each other up. So if you're having a bad day, that friend might be like, it's all right, man. Like it's just one video. Like you can't possibly make an incredible video every single time. You want to go shoot tomorrow morning, like sunrise down in the city. Like we could get some great, and so it's just like nice having a support system from several creators that think the same as you. So yeah, I just get inspired by that. Like just nice people doing awesome work.
Right, and now you have a crew of people. I feel like Maddie, Chris,
and
we got
our little dope squad.
Dope squad is the squad.
We're just kind of it came as a joke at first, and then it just kind of turned into this.
Is it because you're all fans of dope, or is it like?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
No,
I just assumed.
Maybe I thought like for once like it would be funny if we all ran a workshop and called it like DopeCon. But then I was like, but that could be confused with actual dope.
Right. The people who show up might not be the people who expect to show up.
Like, Dope Squad is funny, but so it's just like Chris and Jesse and Maddie and myself and Dennis and another friend of ours, Alan, and all kind of live locally, except for Dennis lives on the far east coast of Canada. So I think myself out of so much content too. Like if the more days that go by while I'm even trying to make something, I'm like, by the end of the third day, I'm like, this is stupid.
So you have a backlog of titles and thumbnails that you've...
Yeah, I've got like a whole hard drive of like half vlogs that will never see the light of day. Yeah, it's because like I start shooting a Q&A or I start shooting something and I get halfway through, then I get discouraged, and I come back to it the next day and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, that lighting what was I even thinking? And then I just
second channel.
And then I just end up going, you know what? I just need to redo this. Then I completely redo it, delete everything, or just keep it on that drive and it just lives there for the rest of time.
Would it kill you if you had a second channel where you
couldn't
just
do it?
Yeah, I was gonna say
I couldn't do it.
Right.
No,
it has to be. It has to be right for you, right?
I'm such a perfectionist and so meticulous with my stuff that's probably actually a downfall of mine, is that I'm too meticulous with stuff. Sometimes it's just a YouTube video, man. It's just a YouTube video.
But I think it's a unique enough quality to have to where it's going to help you stand out, because I think almost everyone else on YouTube is very okay with being like, didn't think of an ending, all right, pull out the phone, guys, thanks for watching. Ending of the videos done.
Where I'll scrap a whole video if I don't have an ending.
Really?
Yeah, it has to feel complete. I have to feel at least like, Chris said to me once, like, if you don't have like the butterflies, like that nervous feeling before you click upload when on a video that you're really excited about, you probably shouldn't be uploading it.
That is amazing advice. I'm sorry. That's something that I felt that the other night, and I was like,
and it's a great feeling to have. You're like, I'm really excited. I'm nervous. I'm putting myself out there. This is different. I'm proud. And then if you're just like, upload, title, peace, you probably shouldn't have done it, or you didn't try enough about it, or you didn't even like it yourself. You're just feeding the beast versus like actually making a difference.
That's interesting. A couple of things. One is, some people would just go get a normal job to pay the bills so they could, pay for their child at 17 or 18 and not go after their dream. But it seems like you went after your dream even more so. How were you able to handle that because I'm assuming you weren't making a lot of money when you were 17 to 23 doing film.
I mean, hunger is a very, very powerful motivator. Mm-hmm. And when I was living in that trailer park with the kid, like we were on welfare for a while. Yeah. I was a dishwasher. I worked in a crappy seafood restaurant as a dishwasher, which now just sort of parenthetically, my favorite piece of advice to give to young people saying, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I say, get a job doing something you hate. Because the fastest way to figure out what you love and where you want to be in life is by spending a lot of time doing something you hate.
So it's miserable.
Yeah. So, spending 50 hours a week scrubbing pots and pans was like, I was just in my head the whole time fantasizing about what I want to do in life. For me at that time in my life, it was sort of, I guess you could say I was making okay money. I was making enough to like feed my kid and pay I think it was $300 in rent, $300 a month rather than mortgage on my trailer. Mm-hmm. But my biggest fear was not being broke, because like when you're at rock bottom and you're on welfare, you can still like afford food.
Get by, yeah.
Get by might be a stretch. Like I could afford food and I could afford my trailer. Right. So it was like we weren't homeless and we weren't starving. So to me that was absolute destitution. Mm-hmm. Wasn't really like that bad. There's no dignity in it, but still it wasn't.
You weren't on the streets.
That's right. So with that, like it's like, what is it? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, so like once
basic needs were met.
Basic needs were met. Then I started to look around. And I realized like the greatest fear for this like beautiful little baby boy was that he would grow up and see his dad as a loser. And that is once those basic needs are met, that's an incredibly powerful motivator.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my dad, who's absolutely not a loser, but I watched my dad to provide for his family of 6. I watched him work 60 hours a week, hating every minute of it. And he came home from work just hating his job. And
but feeling trapped, probably.
I'm sure. Yeah, he had a family to take care of. He struggled. Now he does what he loves. He has a coffee shop now, and he's never been happier.
That's cool.
But I watched that, and like I just saw myself going down that trajectory. And it wasn't just a job that I hated. It was a job that I hated that didn't provide. It was a job that I hated that did nothing but cover those basic needs. And that was the motivator. That was the motivator. The catalyst for me giving up and moving to New York and going for it was, I still look back and I don't know what that was. Like
Right.
there are only like 2 times in my life where I genuinely have no fucking idea what I was thinking. And I moved to New York City in June of 2001 with $800 and a place to stay for 3 months. And that was it.
Where'd you move from?
Connecticut, like 3 hours outside the city.
Gotcha.
I usually try to do something completely unrelated. So if I'm like, I can't think of anything to go shoot for Instagram photos, or I have no idea on what to teach, or I got nowhere to vlog, it's raining, I'll just try to occupy myself with something completely different that maybe I'll find inspiration from. So maybe that's not even like watching a movie. Maybe I'll just go hang out with someone I haven't seen in a while and just like talk to them. Like, tell me about your life, man. How's things been? And I just forget about myself and everything. And I might be like, oh, I was driving my truck out through the woods the other day and this thing happened. I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, that would be a great video. And then it just hits me when I don't force it and I don't ask for it, it usually comes. If I force it and try to find it, it doesn't always work.
Right. I'm starting to realize I feel like 85% of the success that I've ever even seen has been from serendipitous.
Yeah, and like your videos that you think suck do the best, and the videos that you think are amazing do horrible. And it's probably because the videos that you think are amazing, you just put way too much thought in, which ended up like you getting way too much in your own head. And like that's like one of the most dangerous places to be.
And people want to see chaos a lot of times. A lot of times when you're messing up and things are ridiculous, people want to see that.
Yeah, they want to see real life.
Do you ever have a fear of losing what you have created so far?
Oh, every day.
Really?
Every day. I've got this like weird, undying, relentless stress that if I don't like feed the YouTube beast or meet deadlines or that I've created, which is super weird because you create your own deadlines as a YouTuber and then you get stressed out by them. I feel like if I don't meet those quotas, if I don't please the YouTube gods, then like everything I have will fall and crumble like a house of cards, and I'll be like back at my old job shooting decks of cards again. And I think about that all the time. And a lot of my friends are like, you don't need to upload 4 videos this week or 3 videos. I'm like, I have to stay relevant. And it's like, I know that that's silly,
right?
But it's still hard to overcome. And I think it's something that all creators deal with.
I think so too. And it is weird with you, especially because you have found so many different ways, I think, to monetize your life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that you have income coming sort of from a lot of different streams. So it's like in my head, when I think about you being nervous about a video not going up that week, I think, well, you could not upload a video for, I mean, I believe 2, 3 years, 4 years, and you would probably be fine.
I don't
would say the same thing. And people tell me that too. It's like,
that's,
you know,
so
because you're not dumping every ounce of money you're making.
But like I've only uploaded once this week. So it's, what day is it? It's Thursday right now. It's Thursday night.
I don't even know.
It's going to be Friday. It's going to be Friday in 19 minutes. But I only uploaded Monday, and like I have a half video sitting on my laptop right now from like another day and some of today that I'm going to try and fuse into one day. And it's been stressing me out all day because I know I need to go home, edit until it's done, because something has to go up tomorrow where all my friends would be like, Pete, you don't have to upload it tomorrow. Like you can just save it for next week. Why rush it and like just do a half-assed job when you're tired at midnight? You're going to start editing to just to upload a video tomorrow for what reason?
That's a good point.
And I'm like, oh no, I have to. And they're like, no, you don't have to, man. Like, relax. Like, this is, you created this deadline. You created this job. Like, you upload when you want, when you're ready. And I struggle with that the most.
But I knew one person there, and I had
and they let you stay for 3 months.
Yeah, that's exactly right. 3 months and $800. No job, no prospects, no education, no skills.
And how old were you then?
19.
19. And what was the dream to do?
I mean, I wanted to make movies.
But you didn't have the skills yet. You were kind of doing a little bit.
I knew how to edit an iMovie.
Wow.
No, I didn't have any skills. Nothing.
Okay. So you wanted to make movies in New York City, but you had no clue, no connections.
I knew one thing, and I knew that I would never be able to do it in Connecticut.
If you didn't have the 2 children and the wife now, where would your life be?
You know, I have no idea. I really don't. And honestly, like, I don't know. I appreciate the question, but I don't know that is
answering.
No, I think that living in retrospect is a really bad idea.
Sure.
I say this about everything. Like, I look forward with a laser focus because to pay too much attention to the past and what could have been is just a tremendous exercise in futility. And instead looking forward and saying, where do I want to be? And just having all the momentum be there, I think is what's the best practices for me. I know that if given an opportunity to go back and change anything, I would change nothing because I'm incredibly happy right now.
That's great.
And I love it. And I think if it wasn't for those hardships, even really terrible things happening, I don't know that it would have added up to where I am right now. But, you know, I work as hard as I can every day to always make the best decisions I can to contribute to that.
Sure. What's the movie you've yet to shoot yet that you've always wanted to create?
You know, you'd be surprised how often I get asked that question. And the answer is, I don't know. And the answer why I don't know is is an extremely egotistical answer, but it's true. And it's that in life, I've only ever done exactly what I want to do. And if I'm not doing exactly what I want to do, I shift focus and do everything I can until I realize that. So if there was something that I were dying to do, I mean, really dying to do, especially I would have done it.
Yeah.
And like right now, what I want to do is I want to see how far I can take this daily video thing, because it's been 159 days of posting
on your YouTube channel.
That's correct. Every day.
159 days.
That's right. And the impact has been greater than any other singular thing I've done in the previous 15 years of making movies.
Wow. So where were your subscriber and life at? What is this, half a year ago, I guess? Or?
Yeah, I mean, well, somewhat ironically, you know, when I started being the technology company, I always knew that I'd be leaning on my social reach to promote it.
Of course.
And the irony comes from the place that as this company that I run and day to day, I'm in there, it's my company, demanded more and more from me. My social reach was an atrophy.
Really?
Well, I wasn't able to make movies. So I made a decision in March that I would start doing daily vlogs. And my intention to daily vlog was to have it be almost a reality show about the technology company.
Smart. So they're all interested in when is it launching? What's happening?
Exactly. And then on like day 2, I was like, there's not enough content here.
I've already talked about it all.
I said it all in like half of the first episode. So what else do I have?
My life.
Sure. And I realized that I think it's much more interesting to sort of be able to focus on a character, focus on me, than it is on a company. And I think that a lot of people's, at least intrigue in Beam, whether they like it or not, it's up to them, but certainly their intrigue enough to get them to step foot in the door first, has been because they understand the relationship that I have with this company. And I think that the problem with most technology companies face is that most people just see an app or see anything that's consumer facing, something that just exists. It's very hard to understand there are people and passions and missions and ambitions behind that and real work. And that's something that the vlog enabled me to do, is like, you see all of us in this space. You see us, you know, busting our ass. You see us working till the middle of the night to make this thing. And then you get to see the power of it. And all of that happened via this vlog that I started under much more literal pretenses and has now become this incredibly dynamic thing that's giving me a platform to discuss almost anything.
Amazing.
But no, I can't underscore enough the profound impact, the overwhelming impact that uploading daily has had on me, has had on my company, has had on everything, my understanding of filmmaking, my understanding of media and the space and everything.
But to preserve that job, you can't burn out. and you can't be unhappy with your creativity. You can't be unhappy with your content. And if you are unhappy with your content and you continue down that path, it's only going to go to a place that's just ultimately not going to work for you. I never want to advocate don't go to school, but I don't think in this day and age you have to. I think it's becoming more and more a thing of the past. And I think school, Gary Vee talks about this a lot. School's not built for people like us. It's built for people that are going to go into the 9 to 5. They're going to work those industry jobs. It fails creative people. Right. I did miserable in school. I failed all kinds of stuff all the time. My grades were like just barely above 50s, like all the time.
Right.
And a lot of my friends that did incredibly well are just working for like either corporations or stuff they don't even enjoy.
Right.
And I decided to go like my own anti-establishment path.
Right.
And like you probably are a bit of the same way. And now look what we do.
Right.
You're editing it. You're up at night editing it for whatever, a half hour, maybe longer, and putting it up every day.
Did you say a half hour?
I don't know. How long are you editing for? An hour?
My fastest edit is 4 hours.
Holy cow.
The edit this morning was about 9 hours. Yesterday's edit was 11 hours.
You spent 9 hours yourself this morning?
Yeah.
What time did you get up?
Well, I was up at 6, but last night I left the VMAs early. I was home by 8:45, edited till I passed out at about 1 in the morning. Woke up at 6, got it posted. Yeah.
So you're spending most of your time editing every day?
Not most, but my routine in New York City is I leave the office what I would call early, like at 7, 6:30, get home an hour with the baby. She goes down to bed. My wife says goodnight. She goes into the bedroom, and I hole myself up in the corner of the apartment.
Wow.
And I usually work until midnight or 1 in the morning, fall asleep.
Editing.
That's correct, yeah. Wow. Exclusively. And then wake up at 4:30 in the morning to finish the edit by 8 a.m. That's 7 days a week.
And you've never thought about bringing on someone else to do editing?
It doesn't work like
they
that.
Can't capture your voice, your story, your message.
Hey, there isn't a voice or a story in the message. The story is told in the edit. The edit is where it's written.
And they can't be you in the edit.
How are they supposed to empathize with what my day was? Because the sum of the vlog, the narrative of the vlog, is not a collection of the parts. It's like me taking a step back and saying, what did I actually experience today and what affected me?
Wow, man.
And you can't have a third party emulate that emotional relationship.
Your life is editing.
Yeah, it's a big part of my life.
Oh my goodness.
But I love every I don't love the fact that I don't get to sleep. I'm like permanently exhausted, just beaten up, but I like...
You love the process of editing and telling the story.
It's like you get the crap beaten out of you, and it takes everything that you are. And at 7:59 every morning, I'm a completely broken man. And then at 8 a.m., I have this rush of adrenaline, and that is when I click post.
And then everyone's like, they all know it's coming.
It's just like, in that thrill, that rush is like, I can't survive without this. And it drives me through the next 23 hours and 59 minutes until I'm a broken man at 7:59 the next morning. And then I click upload and I get this rush.
Oh my goodness.
And that is the cycle. That is the virtuous cycle that is a daily upload.
Now, how long can you sustain it for?
Well, that's the $1 million question.
What did you give yourself, a year or 6 months?
I mean, I didn't think I would go this long, but I tell you, this is a quote from my very talented friend Ben Brown, who's been daily vlogging for 3 or 4 years now. He said, "You know what happens if you keep doing it, but you don't know what happens if you stop." And I'm sorry, I butchered that. You know what happens when you stop, but you have no idea what happens when you keep going.
What's possible.
Yeah, it's something like that. Anyways, I'm either telling that backwards or telling that right. But the point is this
I mean, you've doubled your subscribers, you've impacted the world.
I mean, yeah, forget about those numbers. All I know are what actually happens. I know what people say. I know I can feel it. And I don't mean that in any sort of spiritual way. I mean, that's quantifiable based on the feedback, the comments, the things people say to me when they stop me in the street.
You probably get stopped all the time, right? It's in New York especially.
In New York City, there's a crowd outside my office all day, every day.
Waiting for you to Snapchat them
and waiting for me to come outside.
But they see you Snapchatting from the window. I've seen a couple where you're like, here's what's happening in my back alley or something.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Wow.
But anyways, that impact, the idea of being able to build that by doing this thing that I do all by myself, and the idea of giving that up, to me is just
What's the biggest fear? That those people will go away?
No, it's not about that. I just think it's I think that as a filmmaker, anyone who's in the creative space, is to be an artist, and I hate that word artist, but to be an artist is
creator.
Sure, it's predicated on one thing, and that one thing, in its most crass, definition, it's that you are such a fucking egomaniac that you believe the world actually cares about your opinions enough to share them. Okay, so based on that assumption, which I think is pretty accurate, then what is the greatest quantification of success? And it's how many people choose to hear your perspectives or ideas. Like that, to me, that's the only that's why for me, like somebody watching my YouTube video on their cell phone is not a bigger deal or a lesser deal than premiering a movie at the Cannes Film Festival, which I've done twice. To me, it's one and the same. It's like somebody chooses to watch your stuff or they don't.
Right.
And the fact that it's happening at such a crazy rate and the relationship is so great with the content, to sort of give that up after working so hard to get there is something I wouldn't want to do.
Final two questions, and you're going to want to record this for yourself too. If there are 3 truths that you knew to be true, so every video you've ever created has been deleted from time. It's your last day, and you get to write down 3 simple things on a piece of paper that leave with your family and the world. 3 things you get to say. What would those truths be?
God, I think I'm too verbose to say this.
This is all you got.
Short terms.
3
okay.
truths. I'm going to hold that up for you.
Way to put me on the spot. No, this will be like a 77-hour vlog if I try to.
3 truths. You get a 1 piece of paper. It's your final day, 100 years from now, whatever it is. You write down truth number 1.
Truth number 1
about life
is that a life not shared is a life not lived. And I totally believe that. I think that if you are the most successful person ever, but you don't share your life, that it doesn't count. And that's why family is everything to me. Friends are everything to me. That's one. Okay. Number 2 is, I think the secret to success, and this is for anybody in any field, is working hard and being brave. If you work hard and work harder than everyone else, and you're brave, meaning that you take chances that no one else will take, you will succeed. It will be the scariest, most arduous road that you could ever take, but you will succeed. Because those are 2 things that most people are just unwilling to do. And the third truth is that health is probably the best gift you could ever give yourself. And I think young people, and by young people I mean anybody who is healthy by definition, take that for granted. Because like everything you are is only facilitated by your physical being. So to not preserve that is to cut everything short. And I think that that's something that is so obvious, but every time I see somebody drinking a Dr. Pepper, you realize that it's not obvious enough. I don't mean to shit on Dr. Pepper. I just mean this idea that like people casually drink things like soda and
constantly,
like,
every day, or
just like don't look after themselves, because like the brain that you have is everything, and this body is just that's your shell.
That's
and
it.
Once the shell goes away, like the brain dies, and that's terrifying. So if you can prolong that or have it be better because of fitness, because of taking care of yourself, you'll live a better life. Was that 3?
That's a 3. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, like we're hanging out right now. And we're making something cool that might benefit like even just one person. And make them a creator. And I feel like this is us hanging out, doing what we love. Who cares? We're sitting here in the middle of the night making a podcast.
It's probably been 2 hours, and I probably should.
You probably should have shut the cameras off like an hour ago. But like this is cool, and I would rather have this than us just like
totally agree,
meaninglessly sitting around because our job ended like 7 hours ago.
I agree, and that's like I think that's an argument that a lot of people have, where it's like, John, you really need to just relax and hang out. And I'm like, look,
and
at
that's not taking away from people that work 9 to 5s and do those things.
Absolutely,
all the power to you. It's just for the type of people that we are. Doesn't work for us.
Right. And it's like, it's hard to consider a lot of what we do work. Like me and you right now, I mean, this is technically a productive thing to do, I think, right? And it's like, but does it actually feel like work? Is this something that we're dreading?
No, because we love it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and when you have that passion for what you do, it just, it never feels like work.
Often do you reflect on like the things that you have right this second?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. And I know that everything I have can be taken away from me in an instant. So I treat nothing like I own, like everything's ultimately meaningless. So I try not to be controlled by like possessions, and I try not to be controlled by dollar signs or even subscriber counts or anything like that. I'm just try to remain grateful for what I have and the ability to work for myself, which has been the end game. So when a lot of people are like, what's 10 years from now? I'm like, just continuing to be able to work for me and be happy, right, and have a healthy family. So creative projects, yes, I want to keep going with those and do more ambitious and creative things and explore different avenues and flex my own creative muscles in every different way that I can with different people in different places. But ultimately my goal is to just work for me and be happy doing it.
Final question. It's what's your definition of greatness?
Oh God, really? I thought we agreed you were going to be lobbing me softballs today.
This is pretty easy.
I think the definition of greatness is to die broke and leaving the world a better place than it was when you were born.
Casey, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, this is great. This is great.
And they're a normal kid. They got $20.
$20.
And they want to create content.
You want to create content.
What would be your recommendation to that?
Borrow your dad's phone. Borrow your mom's phone. Borrow a camera from somewhere.
Oh, you're saying borrow.
Yeah, I would just say like whatever means you can get your hands on something. It doesn't mean you need to own it. Like if it's a friend's, if it's like if you need to rent your friend's phone for $20 that you have for a day, then whatever. Like if you're really passionate, do whatever it takes to make it happen, right?
Right.
My favorite photographer, Peter Lick, sold his van for his first camera, and now he sells prints for $1 million.
Wow.
A piece. But like he sold his van, sold his only means of transportation and where he lived to be able to afford a camera so that he could take pictures.
Right.
Might have gone real bad for him.
Right.
But what's the worst case? He would have just sold the camera and bought another van or whatever. And
I agree.
Went from there. Just do what you love.
Camera.
Just life's too short. Do what you love.